Welcome to the Music Nut Program. I'm John. Thank you so much for joining me today. As we continue, it's Smithereens Saturday with the Smithereens seventh album of original material, 2011. This was released on April 5th, 2011 on E1 Records, formerly Koch Records. So this album came into play when the band was recording several covers albums during the 2000s. Now, during the 2000s, a lot of rock bands were putting out covers albums. I think this is what the record companies wanted. They were putting the budgets behind these. I will admit, I'm not a big fan of covers albums. I don't even own the covers albums by the Smithereens, just to let you know that. I want to hear original music. So they had put out the Christmas album. The Smithereens put out the two Beatles covers albums, and then they were going to do the Smithereens Play Tommy for the Who's Tommy album. And E1 approached them with this, and they said, yes, but can you give us a budget to do a new original album too? And they said yes. So they put out Tommy in 2009, and they put this out in 2011. Now, on this album, this is the first without Mike Messeros on bass. We have Severo Jornation on bass, also known as the Thriller. Of course, we got Pat Denizio on lead vocals and guitars. We have Dennis Steichen on drums and percussion. We have Jim Babchick on lead guitars, and they're all chiming in on the vocals and harmonies. So, this album, 2011, not available on Spotify, just to let you know that. How is this album? Well, I'll tell you. To me, this is the unsung gem of the catalog. This is when they went back to being a great power pop band with 60s influences, like you heard on Especially for You and Green Thoughts. The craftsmanship is on this album in spades. The eclecticism is gone. The concept albums are gone. There's no attempts here to get on any radio formats. They just had a great selection of songs and they plugged it and played. Produced by Don Dixon, who also produced Especially for You, Green Thoughts, and A Date with the Smithereens. The production here, I think, is similar to a lot of albums that came out this time. It's a little loud because at this point, we're not buying CDs so much, we're downloading a lot of music. And a lot of those albums, I think, they weren't as dry. They were recorded a little on the loud side. Here it sounds more, it's more bassy, if that's the word I can describe it. But I mean, it doesn't take anything from the album listening experience. This is one of my favorite albums by the Smithereens. And I think this is one that a lot of people didn't get a chance to hear. So let's go through the tracks. Sorry is the first single, and there's a video for it. And this is a modern power pop song here, which is now played at all of their shows. What a chorus on here. Once you hear those ringing guitars and you hear Dennis's drums kick in and performance by the band, you're like, okay, they sound fresh again. They sound reborn. Played with a lot of vigor on here. You got a nice counter vocal at the end of the song before it ends. You got some great fills from Dennis Steichen, as you do throughout the album. Dennis sounds like he's totally enjoying himself with recording here. Excellent opening track. One Look at You was also a single and video. And this is more melodic, more catchy. You got some nice harmonies during the musical bridge. Very 60s feel again, like those early albums with the ringing guitars. You got some nice counter bass lines here by the Thriller as well. Another excellent track. Order of Our Own. We slow down the tempo a little bit. A lot of harmonies on here. Probably more harmonies on this album than any of the other Smithereens album, especially this track. We got the ringing guitars. It's very dreamy pop song here. Nice bridge on it. It's good. Everything on here is good. I will say that. Everything on here is good, and there's a few songs on here that are great. Keep on Running borderlines on great. Memorable chorus, more mid-tempo again. Power pop, nice lyrical solo in here. Very strong track. Is Rings on Her Fingers, which is more upbeat, more spirited, faster paced. You got some nice echo on the verses. Nice call and response during the verses and choruses as well between Pat and the rest of the band. As Long as You Are Near Me, this is slower. This is more of a love song. But again, we got some nice harmonies on here. Another nice bridge. Nice hook here with some of the harmonies at the beginning, at the end. Then the harmonies on there. Na 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 na. I can't sing very well, but if you hear the song, you'll know what I'm talking about. Bring Back the One I Love. Nice power pop song with a 60s feel, very catchy chorus. Probably the best bridge on the album, too. Again, nice call and response between Pat and the rest of the band on the vocals. Nobody Lives Forever. One of the great tracks on the album. And to me, a song they should probably still do live. I don't know if I ever heard them do this live. And the first time I saw them was on this tour in 2011. This is power pop bliss, great bridge, just very spirited. Dennis is on fire on here, throwing in a lot of drum fills. Excellent track, very power pop. Sounds like it would fit right in on something like Little Steven's Underground Garage, Channel 21 on Sirius XM radio. Good Night, Goodbye. Very dreamy. Starts acoustic. There's some electric guitar added in later. Nice call and response between Pat and the band. At first, Pat and Jim on the vocals. This is very good. Nice wordplay here in the first verse. They're going, I'll be there to follow you down. Then at the end, there's the last verse. They're saying, I'll be there to follow the sound. I think that's pretty neat. The little nuances on this album are really cool. All the same, we're going back more to that Buddy Holly sound of their early albums. This sounds like a cousin, a crazy mixed up kid to me. Again, another nice bridge. You can really hear those bass lines on here from the Thriller. Very good. Viennese Hangover. Very well written. Feels like a lullaby in its performance and the melody. The guitars are really reined in. Nice harmonies on here again. Another nice bridge. Again, another good song. Turn It Around has more of a Beach Boys feel in the harmonies and the vocal bridge. You got a little bit of harmonica from Pat at the very beginning. That's the only time you'll hear it on this album. But another nice song on here. Then we go to the closer, What Went Wrong. Just to let you know, 13 tracks on here. It's only about 44 minutes, so pretty tight album for 13 songs anyway. And this was during the time you had 13 songs on an album, but it might be 75 minutes, right? So What Went Wrong, the kick-ass closer, sounds like something from the Dave Clark 5 or the early Who, the Who Sings My Generation Who. So excellent track, very riveting. Works as well as an album closer and as a set closer. Guys, do this song live. This is killer. What an excellent way to close a very, very good album. The unsung gem of the Smithereens catalog, 2011. Cannot recommend this album highly enough. Good luck trying to find it, but it is worth the find. So, what do you think of this album? Have you ever heard this album? What do you think of the singles Sorry and One Look at You? What do you think of the Thriller's bass playing on here? Have you seen them live since this time when this was released? Please let me know in the comments. Got some programming updates for you. Last night, which would have been Friday, October 4, I appeared on All or Nada, according to Jack, with my friend Jack Toledano. It's been a while. We've been talking about me going on that show. This was my first appearance on his channel. So I joined a panel with Davey Cretin and my friend John Clauser. The three of us, we went to see accepted KK's Priest 2 weeks ago at the Sherman Theater in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. Jack went to see them a week earlier at the Palladium in New York City. We talk about our experiences seeing those bands in the Concerts Remembered series on All or Nada, according to Jack. So that's out there right now. The Accept series, Up to the Limit, continues on My Music Corner. Right now, the Balls to the Wall episode is out there, where John and I were joined by Mangus DC. We had a great time discussing that album. Those shows debut Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Metal Heart will be coming out on October 9. Who's the special guest? Well, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to give you a spoiler. Butch Ballack, who you may know from the Contrarians and Larry the Alchemist, will be joining John and I to discuss Metal Heart. Monday, October 14, join us live on Grant's Rock Warehouse. We'll have DC Tune Time. We'll have BM Bolts. We'll have Ernesto Ramos, hopefully. And by the way, Ernesto designed the logo for the Music Nut program. Thank you, Ernesto. Ernesto just came out with that and said, John, what do you think of this? And, after a few discussions, he put that out. So thank you again, Ernesto, for providing the logo for my channel. Anyway, we'll also have John Clauser. Maybe we'll have Yvonne the Music Man. I hope we get all of them. And Steve Schnee might be popping in that one as well. And we'll all be joined by our wonderful host, the hardest working man on YouTube, Grant Arthur, having fun with 1821 as we discuss our 10 favorite songs from 1984. A lot of fun to be had on the live shows on Grant's Rock Warehouse. We have a fantastic vibe with everybody that's watching us live in the chat. They're offering what they think are their favorite 10 songs, and they're talking about our picks. Sometimes they like them, sometimes they don't, but they're all passionate and respectful, and fantastic vibe on there. So join us Monday, October 14, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on Grant's Rock Warehouse. Speaking of Grant Arthur, I'm giving him props now. I'll give him props next week, because the next album I'm going to discuss will be the Lost album, which came out in 2022. This was recorded in between the Blow Up album and A Date with the Smithereens in the early 90s. And I'm giving Grant the shout out here because he told me this album existed because he saw the Smithereens on the 80s cruise. So thank you, Grant. I will be discussing this next week on It's Smithereens Saturday. Oh, just to let you know, It's Thin Lizzy Thursday has started. The next episode for Shades of Blue Orphanage will drop on Thursday, October 10. The self-titled debut show is already out there on the Music Nut program. Do what you love, and I'll talk to you soon.